Wait, is this the right part? I think so. Let me skip it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think this is it. This is the new Elwood City Limits theme.
Oh.
Ringing any bells here? Will, do you ever wonder why? Do you wonder why they build... do you ever see in your dreams... Wait.
Okay.
The castles in the sky.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Have you ever asked me why? Oh, here it comes. Not a big Eurobeat guy, huh? Wait, oh, here's the drops coming. Tell me why. They build castles in the sky. Oh, hell yeah.
I kind of like it.
That's because it's a banger.
What is it?
It's Castles in the Sky, radio mix, baby.
Castles in the Sky. Sounds kind of familiar.
Marsha, Ivan Van Dahl. I don't know. I don't know who originally made the song Castles in the Sky, but I know it's probably in a DDR game. That's
nice.
That's what kind of genre of music that is like DDR, Boom Boom Dollar, Dr. Jones, Eurobeat. One of the greatest gifts that have ever come out of Europe.
I stumbled upon, if we want to just play some Eurobeat, I stumbled upon a really good one.
No, the rule is we're only allowed to play Eurobeat when it's named after the episode of Arthur we're watching. No, I'm just kidding. What were we going to say?
Oh, that's what... Oh, God, that took me forever. Okay. Very well, then. I'll save it for another time.
Whenever we watch an Arthur episode called Deja Vu or Gas, Gas, Gas.
Or Sandstorm.
Yeah, Sandstorm. Next time we watch an Arthur episode called Rhythm is a Dancer, we can return to the Eurobeat segment. But luckily this week we're talking about Castles in the Sky here on Elwood City Limits, the episodic Arthur podcast.
Hey, it is.
Hey, we're back.
Welcome, everybody. It's 2020, and it's time for a new season of Elwood City Limits. My name's Will Young, and Mr. Castles in the Sky over there, that's Lucas Mancini.
That's right, DJ... DJ O on the ones and twos. That's me.
DJ O's not bad.
DJ O, it's like the Big O. Do you remember the Big O?
I never watched the Big O, sorry.
Oh, you would love... Will, this is something I don't try and recommend anime willy-nilly, but as someone, I know you have a fondness for Batman the Animated Series.
I love Batman the Animated Series.
I feel like don't do it right now, but when you have some free time, look up the Big O opening, and you'll immediately be like, ooh, maybe this is something I should check out.
I'm going to put that on the old watched later list.
Yeah.
Thank you. Always appreciate that. All right, everybody, welcome back. It is indeed a new year, a new decade, and it's time for new episodes of Arthur. Like, really, really new. These I've never seen before in my life.
Not really, really new. We're still not into the Flash era.
No, but it's new to me. This is uncharted territory, as I'm fond of saying about Season 9 of Arthur. And I've got a couple of things to tell you about Season 9. We've got a lot to talk about in terms of, what's new with Arthur going into this brand new season. But, of course, it's been a while, and there's been a couple of emails that have been left around from before Christmas and after. Hope everybody's holiday was good.
Yeah, one might say these emails are so long, so old, they are from last decade. Oh!
That's right, over at elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com. We've been sent in a couple of emails here. Now, I do have to say that there's a couple of these that have different names on them, and I'll read the names as they're given to me, but they have a suspiciously similar email address. So, to any of our listeners who may be doubling up or tripling up, that's okay. You don't have to be ashamed of that. But I did this. It just kind of made me laugh is all. So over at elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com, where you can send in your emails to the show. We have this first one here from Steven, whose question is, as a kid, did you guys play any of the Arthur computer games or any games based on kids' shows? I remember playing the PBS Kids game where you help Buster make a movie. Lucas, CD-ROM games are probably a big part of both of our lives, so I'm interested to hear this from you.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like this is one of those things that are barely in the recesses of my memory, of like some poorly pixelated version of Buster in like some sort of like Arthur like adventure game. Like I played a lot of like I used to love like educational games from that era, like Pajama Sam and Freddy Fish. The Magic School Bus game.
I played one of the Magic School Bus games at
Arthur,
my friend Jeff's house. Hey Jeff.
PC games. Let's take a look here. Let's see if any of these Arthur's Reading Race.
If
Arthur's Computer Adventure for PC. Some of these do look really familiar. Oh yeah, I remember Arthur's. I think my cousins had Arthur's Computer Adventure.
If you ever want an in-depth kind of look at the Arthur video games, Peanut Butter Gamer has a couple of really good videos of him just kind of fooling around in those ones. So more of the Pajama Sam. I wanted Pajama Sam. No Need to Hide When It's Dark Outside so bad for computer, because I used to play that when chapters first opened. They had the demo of that on the computers at the store.
That's crazy.
Yes.
I can't imagine just like as a kid sitting there like playing that Pajama Sam demo, like with people shopping for books around you. Well, I have good news, Will. All the Pajama Sam games are like 45 cents on Steam. So
I know. I keep meaning to buy them and I keep forgetting. Like,
and when you play them with your adult brain, it's really fun because a game that used to take you like multiple months to beat, you could beat in about an hour and a half.
For sure. I think they also made it to the Wii as well, the Wii Virtual Console.
You know, I'm kind of a Pajama Sam poser. I think I had the demos for the first one and the second one, but I would just play the third one over and over again, where he goes to the food world. Okay.
I know the second one is Thunder and Lightning Ain't So Frightening.
Yeah, no, I think I either got stuck in that one or I only played the demo. But the one where he goes to the food world, and then I think 2 of the Freddy Fishes I played. I was never a putt-putt man. Never a big putt-putt guy myself.
Also funny is Peanut Butter Gamer's videos on putt-putt, so check those out too. Hey, Peanut Butter Gamer, you like that free advertising? Come on the show, please. We have another one here from Carlos, who wants us to pitch Arthur characters as political candidates. I feel like this might be a bit more of your wheelhouse.
So, wait, are we saying, like, comparing them to real political candidates, or, like, what would their platform... Is this like that one incredible... art house politics video where he's like going through the menu in Mario Kart and he's like, yeah, I think like Luigi's a radical centrist. Let me see. Let's see if I just pull up Arthur. Isn't this sad? I think characters.
Well, I think first of all, Brain is a libertarian.
Oh, interesting. See, yeah, I think Brain's like one of those like Elon Musk types. You know what I mean? Like he thinks space exploration is going to save the world. I think Arthur.
He also thinks you shouldn't need a license to drive.
Yeah. What's next? Toasting your own damn toaster. I think Arthur is like kind of like a neo-lib, like kind of like Pete Buttigieg type. Francine. Francine, I think, pretty like right wing, like survival of the fittest, based on her kind of like athletics, her like being into.
She's all charisma. Francine.
Yeah. I think, she's like a Joe Biden. Actually, never mind. She's more like a Joe Biden. Like doesn't make sense what she's saying, but you like hearing his story about corn pop or whatever. Binky, I'm thinking. If you were about to ask who's Corn Pop, we don't want to open up that can of worms. Binky is let's see. Well, okay, Muffy obviously is Mayor Bloomberg, just trying to buy her way to the top. Spends the most on advertising.
So who's Bernie? Who's Bernie in all this?
Who is Bernie? I'm gonna say, looking at this. I could see George. Being a Bernie. I know that Sue Ellen, Black Bloc Antifa. Sue Ellen. Sue Ellen is definitely like Black Bloc Antifa. She's tipping over cop cars.
Yes, she is.
DW's alt-right. Oh
my God. Okay. Whoa. Hang on there.
Buster's of course we've established this already. Buster is just a Joe Rogan listener. His politics just line up with whoever Joe Rogan's voting for. So Buster's like an AB Klobuchar supporter. Let's see here. Mr. Ratburn's probably a Bernie guy, big into education. But
Give me one more. Give me one more.
Sorry, I'm looking at this list of Arthur characters. This one's easy. Prunella is a Marianne Williamson supporter. She believes in good vibes and orbs are what's going to fix the country.
Very good. I'm glad. I knew that I could outsource that to you, and you would run with that. So thank you for that. We also have one here from Blake, whose question is, what are your favorite Broadway plays or plays in general? Blake's is the Book of Mormon and Hamilton. Good choices. Lucas, you've been to a few plays and musicals, as have I. What would you say is your favorite?
That's a good question. I would say that my favorite musical isn't a stage production. It's The Blues Brothers. Love that movie so much. But I always want to be like a cool hipster, but when it comes to Broadway, I'm not super familiar, so I kind of got to go with the big, like the ones that everyone says. Les Mis. I like Les Mis a lot. I like Hamilton.
Agreed.
I really want to see. Oh God, what is it called? The new play from David Byrne, like the one that's all Talking Heads music. That's like
okay. I didn't know he was making that.
Oh yeah, it's on Broadway right now. And that's like my dream one to see. Like I haven't seen it, so I can't say it's my favorite, but I feel like I would love it because I love the Talking Heads. What is it called? American Utopia.
Okay.
And that just entered on Broadway in October 2019, so it's brand new. I've also heard that play about Newfoundland, that Come From Away.
Oh, Come From Away. My mother went to see that. She said it was great.
So yeah, I hear that's as East Coasters ourselves. I hear that is good.
I saw the Color Purple musical last year with my mother, and it was terrific. I really liked it.
I want to see Cats. Will.
Do you? Which one?
I want to see
stage or film.
The movie. I want to see. Usually, when everything is universally crapped on and everyone says it's bad, it's probably because it's actually really, really good. So I have to figure that out for myself and go see the Crazy Cat movie. I'm right now, so I have this new thing I'm doing for 2020. 2020 we're doing. This new thing I'm doing is King mentality. Nothing but King stuff.
King mentality.
Yeah, I got a new King mentality for 2020. You can bleep this out, but nothing but King for all of 2020. And so one of the ways I'm living that truth is I'm keeping a note in my phone called the Lucas Mancini Hall of Kings. And I'm just gonna make a quick addition to the Hall of Kings right now because it just popped into my head and it's Arthur related. So that I'm just gonna add him to the Hall of Kings. Would you like to hear? And these are all had these thoughts in 2020. This is all related to cats, by the way. That's why I'm breaking this up. But who is in my Hall of Kings thus far?
Give it to me.
Okay, so we have first king in the Hall of Kings is Babu Frick. Babu Frick, little puppet from that new Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah, from the man. Oh, yeah.
No, not from the Mandalorian.
From the new
Rise of Skywalker.
Gotcha.
There's about 20 seconds of footage of Babu Frick in that movie, and it's the only 20 seconds I really liked. Like the part when he goes, "Droid is ready." That's pretty sick.
Okay.
Number 2 king in the Hall of Kings, magical Mr. Mistopheles. Okay, he's a cat who could do magic. That's nuts.
Okay.
Magical Mr. Mistopheles, there's never ever been a cat that's better. Not only that, he can shoot lightning from his hands. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the definition of that.
Yeah. Great Deuteronomy is going to get him to the Heavenside lair or whatever that nonsense is all about. King number 3, might have heard of this guy, Bernie Sanders. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. King number 4, George Costanza is king number 4.
That's very on brand for you.
Yeah, truly a king amongst men, George Costanza. King number 5, I feel like you'll like this one. Freddy Krueger is king number 5.
Okay.
I was at the barcade the other day, and I was quite drunk, and they were playing Friday. They were playing Nightmare on Elm Street 4 on the screen, and man, that Freddy, he was saying some funny stuff. And then I quickly added him to my list of kings.
Okay, all right, I respect it.
And the newest addition to the Hall of Kings, king number 5, a Binky Barnes.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
I knew he was gonna make it. Excellent. I'm for this. I wish you all the best with the 2020 King mentality.
Thank you.
And we have one more email here from, I'm going to pronounce this name wrong, so I beg your pardon. Funith? No, I'm not. You know what? You're going to have to tell me how to pronounce that next time, because I don't want to do that again.
How is it spelled?
Pheunith.
Unith. Funith?
Like Funith or Foynith?
Pwyneth?
Nah. Anyway, they
Psychic water type. Is he named after a Pokemon?
That's the name in the email, so I'm guessing they didn't want to give their real name, so that's fine. I really enjoy your podcast. Brings me comfort to listen to other people who are as avid about the Arthur series that I grew up with and continue to enjoy with my best friend Irvin, who is just as passionate about the program as I am. You two are neck and neck for my favorite Canadian podcast, tying with Order of the Straight Arrow, a King of the Hill podcast. I'll have to check that one out. It's the kind of back and forth and opinions that I generally enjoy at home or when work gets slow. I do catering like Dad Reed, and like him, that line of work lets me go to a number of events, all of which don't interest me, but I'm sure would interest you both, considering how outspoken you two are about your interest in the podcast. Events like WWE Wrestling.
What?
Cool, man. Something my sister calls Posty Fest, which only happens in the Dallas area for some reason with other artists you two mention often, but I can't name off the top of my head, save for Jaden Smith.
I assume Posty Fest must be some sort of Post Malone thing, especially because it's in Dallas. Isn't he from Texas? I don't know.
Post Malone's Posty Fest 2019 is what Google tells me.
Posty Fest. That one I'd be less excited for.
Well, let's see here. It's Post Malone, Meek Mill.
Okay, so
Pharrell,
wait, Boo,
Ray Shremmerd.
yay. I like those last 3.
So I'm going to tell you these names, and I don't know them, but you might. Dominic Fike.
No.
Doja Cat.
Ooh, I like Doja Cat. Doja Cat's cool.
Yella Beezy.
No, do not know Yella Beezy.
Tyler Yahweh.
No, I think I'm looking at the same list as you, and the only one I know besides Doja Cat after that is Beach Fossils, which is quite good.
Okay, well, not too far off, all things considered. Okay, where was I? What I get most out of the podcast is understanding what Arthur means for more people than just myself and my best friend. But a topic that I wonder if you two have ever thought about is how cunningly scheming DW can be, yet she still manages to get fooled by the Tibble twins. By my count, she's tricked by them around 5 times in the show's lifespan and counting. She's even looked down on their intelligence or lack thereof, but you would think she would know better by now than to take their word on matters. That's a really good point. DW, you gotta have somebody who has the inside track on DW, and that's how you fool somebody who thinks they're as smart as she does, is that you get somebody who she thinks she's smarter than and just allows her to essentially play herself.
Yeah, I've really liked what they've been doing with DW's character in recent episodes, having their new neighbor kind of play the role of DW to DW. Of now, DW has someone that she kind of is in a position where she's the superior one, right? Just because she's a little bit older. And so I always like that role for DW. I also do like it when DW's being conniving. Like, sure, she's been tricked by the Tibbles 5 times, but I feel like there's a handful of times she's tricked the Tibbles, like when she was pretending to know how to read. I can't think of another moment, but I feel like DW is also sometimes getting the best of her peers. I think that's just how it is when you're like a little kid, right? Little kids are so trusting. They'll kind of believe whatever each other will say, even when, they lie to each other all the time. That's just kind of how little kids are programmed.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, everybody, for the emails over at elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com, and we're going to give further thanks here to our lovely patrons, patreon.com/elwoodcitylimits. See if you can spot the new patron name. Lucas, I know that you will. So just keep your ears open, and you will. We've got Aaron DeFilippo and Alex, Caitlin Harrington, Chandler LaFave Boughton, Christine Wong, and Sierra S. There's Dan Mike Dawson Silva, Emily K, and Froppy, Ian Collis, Jake Bailey, Joe Sue, John Dulong, John Griswold, Kat and Kaylin Krogall, Kevin Noon, Kristen, Leanne S, Light Relentless, Macy Ball, Marlo Stanfield, Michaela Gibson, Rachel Pearson, Riley Stevens, Shayna Bennett, Stella, Teresa, and William. Nothing?
I'm sorry, Will. I was looking at my phone.
Oh,
who's the new name?
Marlo Stanfield, dog.
Marlo Stanfield. Oh, Marlo, you're not officially in the Hall of Kings, but you're an honorary. You're a squire.
A squire in the Hall of Kings is
Yes.
Marlo Stanfield, and you can be too.
Marlo Stanfield's at the round table, right next
and
to
you can
Freddy
be
Krueger.
If you, and you can be too if you donate to us on Patreon. Hey, just a quick little teaser for the month ahead. There's going to be big changes happening, especially with the Elwood City Limits Patreon, and there's going to be new things going on there. So current patrons, make sure that you keep checking both the Discord and our Patreon page. And if you want to become a patron, there's going to be some exciting new content coming soon. Lucas, Season 9 of Arthur debuted in late 2004 and continued on into 2005. We've got a couple of casting changes here.
Yes, and I noticed these immediately.
Mm-hmm. So, replacing Mark Rendell as the voice of Arthur is a young man named Cameron Ansel. You may recognize his voice from Beyblade Metal Masters, Bakugan, and Spider Riders.
Whoa! Okay, cool. Calling all Spider Riders.
So it kind of comes full circle for us. We certainly didn't know about that 9 seasons ago when we were making the Spider Riders jokes.
That's right. Which I've gone back on the record and clarified that is incorrect, right? It isn't Drake who did the Spider Riders theme.
Yeah.
That was misinformation I was given.
Misinformation.
It's still hey, Drake didn't make it. It's still a slapper though. Calling all Spider Riders. Let's ride, baby. Let's ride.
We've got Paul Stewart Brown replacing Alex Hood as the Brain. This is a little odd because both voice actors share the role of Brain for this season. It's in season 10 that we get Brain's new voice full time. So, like in this episode, and we'll talk about it later, it's still Alex Hood as the Brain. But if you hear a new Brain voice sometime this episode, that's Paul Stewart Brown. And finally, former guest of the show, Jessica Cardos, joins the cast, replacing Patricia Rodriguez as Sue Ellen.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Sue Ellen wasn't in this episode, so I didn't notice.
Mm-hmm. But I'm very excited to hear more of Jessica's work. And if you want to go back and listen to our interview, it is in the podcast archive. So check that one out. Jessica's great. I'm really happy to be hearing more from her. This is the first season of Arthur since the company CNR, which made a lot of cartoons when we were kids in Montreal, rebranded to Cookie Jar Entertainment.
Yeah, we got the hot new logo, and so it's funny, Will, we talk about kind of generational things. I when I saw the Cookie Jar Entertainment briefly at the end of this episode, I was like whisked back to I do remember this era of like PBS programming. Like that Cookie Jar Entertainment logo reminded me of like, what was that show? What was his name? Ruff something. It was like a dog that they would animate. The dog was animated, but the backgrounds were like real. Let's see, Ruff.
This is getting into kind of your childhood.
Yeah. The Ruff Ruffman Show.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ruff Ruffman Show. First episode.
By this point, I was too busy watching The Simpsons.
Oh, excuse me. No, Fetch with Ruff. So the Ruff Ruffman Show is the new version. Fetch with Ruff Ruffman debuted from 2006 to 2010. So this would be at the tail end of my Arthur watching, but that's what that Cookie Jar Entertainment logo reminded me of.
Gotcha.
But I mean, to talk about kind of our differences, Will, I did remember this episode, and as you've stated many times, this is the kind of the beginning of your dark zone with Arthur, where this is all new to you. But there's a specific moment in this episode that it's one of those like Arthur moments that's always kind of weirdly stuck in my brain for some reason.
So let's talk about it. This episode of Arthur is, of course, called Castles in the Sky.
Don't tell me why they put castles in the sky. Wait, where is it? Where's the... I gotta get it. This freaking Spotify. Just a second. I just want to do bits now. After that episode where we had the censor button, it's like, tell me why. Heck yeah. Castles in the sky.
It's on my watch. It's on my watch later list. I'm gonna take a listen to it later. I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's some snowstorm music, and that's what we sort of open up on in this episode of Arthur's. There's a big snowstorm.
Yeah, that's right. And immediately, it's like Arthur's voice is completely different.
Yeah, so usually I'm pretty slow to the draw in terms of being like, oh, actually, Lucas, did you notice Arthur's voice was different this time? And I'm like, no. This time, it's super, super apparent. And at first, like, this first opening sequence, I found it really jarring. But actually, over the course of the episode, I don't think it's very similar. I feel like the other Arthur voices that we've heard are a lot more similar to one another in terms of, like, whenever they get in a replacement. I think this is the most different he's ever sounded. But I also think that it's a really good performance.
Yeah, I mean, I got used to it by the end of it, and it's just like, I think it's just a product of, like, I remember Arthur when I was a kid sounding like me, because I was a kid, and now as we go along, it's like Arthur sounds more like a child to me, because I'm an adult, so go figure.
But I think it complicates things that Buster's voice never changes,
yeah,
so it makes Arthur's voice sound all the more different that we just have the exact same Buster voice we've always had.
I wrote here that the new Arthur voice could almost be a DW voice. It's like that high pitched. Arthur and Buster having this sled race during the middle of winter. What stakes did they put on it again?
No, I didn't write down.
They put some kind of wager on it. It's not important ultimately because they make it to the end of the hill, and Arthur's like, "Did I win?" And Buster says, "Who cares?" Because the treehouse has been destroyed.
So
this is a huge way to kick off season 9.
Absolutely, man. This is like Game of Thrones, where when winter came, the opening sequence, it's like all different. It's like if they were doing a flyover of Elwood City, or like in Simpsons when like after the movie and everyone's like kind of recovering from the dome in the opening.
Right.
From now on, like the Arthur's treehouse is always destroyed. There's a lot of things that they're kind of a lot of revelatory moments. Early on, I had always assumed that the treehouse was just in Arthur's backyard. I did not realize it was in a neutral location.
Yeah, I think we kind of knew before that it was not exactly in Arthur's backyard, but yeah,
it must be really close though. Because remember the episode where Arthur's like sneaking around his family and like someone's like spotting for him with binoculars from the treehouse? It's like right next to his house in that episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I figured it was like a close by kind of like route towards like a park or a wooded area or something like that. Anyway, super unexpected. I did not know that the treehouse was going to go bust here, and this is a huge blow to everybody as they're talking about it in the Sugar Bowl about how they need that treehouse. It's just not the same without it. There's a piece of great animation here as well, as like Buster is trying to offer Arthur's pie to the aliens as a peace offering, and Arthur kind of grabs it back. I just wanted to shout out that the animation in this part was pretty good.
Yeah, that piece of pie, I almost gasped because that pie almost falls off his plate, and I was like, oh my gosh.
And the spoon like clatters to the table, and I'm like, almost making me nervous here. And we get everybody kind of talking about the treehouse. We actually get a little bit of history of how the treehouse began. This was so cool.
Yeah,
I loved this.
This was great. I really enjoyed this as well. It was like a community project. Like everyone came together to build the treehouse.
Everybody's families, Arthur's, Francine's, Buster's, George's. There's a little George. He's got a helmet on, and he's carrying materials in a bucket on one of his horns. I thought that was so cute. And yeah, it's so all the parents came together to build this treehouse for them. When they were, it looks like they were about. So DW was a baby, so Arthur was probably like 5, I want to say.
Yeah, this is pre-glasses Arthur. He's got the overalls on.
Yeah, and they all go to enjoy the treehouse. DW like crawls her way over there, and this is weird. Arthur says, "No, sorry, Dora Winifred. It's only for big kids." And just like it's just weird to hear her called by her name. Also loved Arthur's dressing up as little Dad Reed.
Oh,
He's got the same like colored sweater on and everything.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. What a great homage.
It's a great little touch. So yeah, once again, Arthur kind of dealing with nostalgia in its own way of just like this treehouse has been a part of our lives for a long time, and I loved just getting to flesh it out a little bit. And so they're wondering, what they can do, how they could ever build it again. And well, I also didn't expect there to be a special guest on this episode, but this is another real outside pick, and I gotta respect him for that. So, who happens to be in the booth next to him at the Sugar Bowl? But as we find out later, Frank Gehry.
Yeah, famous architect Frank Gehry. Making his appearance, and you know what it's time for, Will? It's time for the Matt Damon Art Garfunkel scale. Every time we have a special guest, are they a good Arthurization of a real person, a.k.a. Art Garfunkel, or did they just put ears on a regular person, a.k.a. Matt Damon?
I think it's closer to Matt Damon, to be perfectly honest with you.
I agree. I think, no offense to Frank Gehry, it was fun to have him on this episode, but I have it paused at 3:27 right now, and Frank Gehry just kind of looks like Mike Francesca with ears, with the animal ears.
Yeah, it's not great. It wasn't distracting, so like I actually forgot that we were doing this, but yeah, it's
what you forgot about the segment. There's only been like one other episode with.
I'll try to keep it in mind for next time, though. It wasn't distracting, but it's also like okay, he's just barely an animal. So a little bit of info here on Frank Gehry. He's an architect based out of Los Angeles. His work is cited as some of the most important of contemporary architecture. So he designed buildings like the Guggenheim in Spain, which they talk about at the end of the episode, the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, and a whole lot more. Like, check out his Wikipedia page for all of the stuff he did.
I've been to the Museum of Pop Culture.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, no, I loved it. It was awesome. That's where I saw Gizmo from Gremlins in real life. They had a real life.
Oh, totally cool. So yeah, that's a Frank Gehry.
Wow, amazing. Whoa.
Frank Gehry is also not a voice actor. In case you were wondering.
Oh, poor Frank. I feel like we've been dunking a lot on Frank Gehry this episode. This moment happens later on, but I want to balance all the bad with the good. So the part that I remember from this episode that I've remembered my entire life is the part where, and this is much later on, but he shows them the picture of the real building, I'm assuming he made, that looks like binoculars.
Yes.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've remembered that building, and it's only because of this Arthur episode.
Interesting.
But even as an adult, I'm like, do you guys know that there's a building that looks like binoculars? And the only reason I know about that is from this like sequence. I don't really keep track with famous architects, to be honest with you, so I feel like Frank Gehry might be the only one I could even think of.
Well, and I mean, hey, listen, I'm clowning a little bit on Frank Gehry, but he's made infinitely more money than I ever will, and he's far more talented, so all respect to him in the world. And this is cool. Like I said, it's an outside pick. It's somebody that the parents of kids watching Arthur might know. I certainly didn't know who Frank Gehry was until I watched this episode. And so he's trying to give the kids a pep talk into creating a new treehouse, which everybody spends the rest of the episode kind of doing their own designs. So we go to Buster's house. Arthur and Buster are trying to figure out theirs. I think Arthur wants his to be kind of look like, he has an idea for like a castle and one that's shaped like a rocket ship, which Buster kind of doesn't go for, which surprised me a little bit.
What kind of castle? Like a castle in the sky? That kind of castle?
Yeah, that kind of castle.
Sorry, there's no rocket in the sky. Eurobeat song. The return of Buster's disgusting food case.
Yeah. So, and I'm also not really sure how I feel. So he pulls out the crust of a pizza, and he said it's the first crust that he and his mother had with Harry.
I feel like there's a little bit of a like, ooh, maybe Buster's gonna need some therapy when he's older. You know what I mean?
It's a little sad, like a little sad. I gotta be honest with you. I felt bad for him.
I don't know if it's more sad or if it's more gross. You gotta think about how nasty. Like pizza gets mold.
It's unquestionably gross, of course.
But like he's always opening and closing that case. Like just think about like the protocultures and like the spurs and like the second he opens that case, the second he cracks the seal, like the combined mold of all of those ancient food items is just like is probably ungodly, like horrible. Like it's just like ugh. But you're right. Also keeping his his mom's ex-boyfriend's first piece of pizza he had with him. You're just lucky that he didn't eat it. We've seen Buster eat gross stuff out of that fish tank. That's true. And
I was certain he was going to eat it.
Even when he like it's pretty fresh. Like let's say he put the pizza in there yesterday, everything else in there certainly is not, and that's not how mold works.
Yeah, exactly. So Buster has an idea about how he wants the treehouse to be like basically like an active pizza. Like you go up into it, it's got pepperoni for the windows, which you can eat, but if it's not raining. There's furniture made out of mozzarella cheese. There's like an all-you-can-drink pizza sauce fountain, and God, I've had dinner. I'm getting hungry now. Imagine watching this before breakfast, like I did. I was starving.
It's like, I don't know. For me, like. I don't know what it is about when people like are like, oh, we're gonna live in our food, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But like watching Buster like drink marinara sauce from the tap out of like a coffee mug, I kind of lost my appetite. I was like, oh my word.
It's definitely not something that you should do. But I was also like, listen, I can't judge. That would probably be like the darkest moment of my life, but I'd do it.
I'm glad to hear you admit that, Will. I'm glad. I love the honesty.
It's not a positive thing. Like, don't get me wrong. So Buster has this dream. Arthur, I love this comeback. He's just like, I'm not taking a design for a pizza treehouse to Frank. He's on a first name basis with Frank Gehry, like they're neighbors or something.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, Frank wouldn't like that. Like, Arthur, you just met the guy. And also, so Arthur's so much better. He's gonna make a rocket ship treehouse. What good does that serve? A stationary rocket ship that's growing out of the ground? Just as ridiculous.
Listen, they made the world's biggest pizza, so it's not outside the realm of possibility that they could make a pizza treehouse.
I feel like it's more likely that they could make a pizza treehouse than they could make a castle rocket ship treehouse.
I agree with you. So other kids are trying to think. Francine's trying to make like basically like this treehouse compound that has like sections for everybody.
Yeah, Francine's trying to be all things to all people. And so at first, like, that's kind of the Francine's subplot in this episode is that she like tries to make it so it has a wrestling arena for Binky, which is very sick. That's what secured his place on the list of kings. He also wants to make a where do I have it here? Oh yeah, Sue-Ellen a pagoda, an art pagoda for Sue-Ellen.
Pagoda.
And there's
a good use of that word.
Well, there's a part where she says Sue-Ellen's Pagoda, and I was like, dang, Sue-Ellen's Pagoda sounds like a 90s band, like a you know what I mean? Like that like era of like Goo Goo Dolls or something. And what is the third thing she wants to put in as well? She's got all this stuff, and at first she tries to put it all on.
I think it's like a workhouse, not a workhouse, but like a tool shed for George or something like that.
But eventually she just takes all those ideas and yeah, like you said, turns it into a compound as opposed to one tree. It's almost like a tree village, like where the Ewoks live.
We get a bit here from Brain.
That's the other good part of that new Star Wars movie, by the way, is the split second where you see an Ewok, and I was like, oh yeah, I like Star Wars sometimes.
Brain, we get a little bit from him. He asks Mr. McGrady for a bunch of toothpicks. He's trying to make a model of what he wants the treehouse to be, and it's here you can You can tell that it's Brain's voice actor from the past season. It's Alex Hood, but he's audibly getting older.
Yeah.
Like his voice is a little bit deeper.
But I kind of like that. Like, I don't know why they always kind of made Brain sound the youngest. Like, even except for like this current Arthur voice, I always felt like he because they kept switching his voice actor, whereas we say Francine and Buster kind of always stay the same. So Brain always ended up sounding like the youngest, and I feel like that doesn't really fit his character. Like, I think it's fine for Brain to sound a little bit older.
Yeah, he always kind of looks physically a bit older than everybody as well.
Yeah, and so what Brain does here is, it's funny because this episode is actually really good. It's one of those episodes where it kind of teaches you, not in the straight up educational sense, but like it's an episode about architecture, which is something that kids don't probably consider all that often. I certainly didn't when I was a kid, so that's why I think that binoculars picture stuck out in my mind so long. But what Brain does here, making kind of the popsicle stick tower, for my job, I was watching this session of high school students kind of getting a taste of university level architecture programs, right? And so there was kind of these high school students, and it was this initiative to get them thinking about architecture not just in buildings or in from a scientific perspective, but how architecture is also, heavily art based as well. And so they did a very similar exercise as Brain does here with the toothpicks and the glue and such.
Yeah, and it does seem like something feasible, that like a project that could be done by someone Brain's age. Yeah, and Brain kind of like spends night and day. He catches a cold trying to make this like toothpick representation of what he wants, and he's basing it off of like famous buildings, off of what he wants the treehouse to look like. I also really appreciated, as some of the kids are drawing their stuff, we get a return to stick figure animation in some of the drawings coming to life. There's another one, I think it's Francine's, when she's talking about all the different things that she wants, the different representations, and like every part of the treehouse is connected by bridges, and I was like, connected by bridges? What is this? Death Stranding?
Yeah, it's Francine's gonna make the first Strand treehouse. She's got to upload the treehouse to the chiral network.
But none of them they're not able to agree on anything. There's all of these like really elaborate plans that for one reason or another, Frank Gehry lets him down easy and saying that probably couldn't happen.
I'm sorry, I cannot unsee this Mike Francesca thing. Frank Gehry in this episode of Arthur looks exactly like Mike Francesca in the Uncut Gems trailer when he's like yelling at Adam Sandler to be like, what kind of bet is that? Doesn't make any sense. That's a stupid bet. Like, he's dressed the same way. Like, it's kind of uncanny.
I'll have to look this up. I don't know.
Let me. I want to find. You keep talking. I'm gonna find the Uncut Gems trailer, and I'm gonna send you a timestamp because I can't unsee this.
I did also want to note that when Brain brings in his sculpture that he's been working on, he says that, they can build the world's tallest treehouse, which can help to revive the sluggish Elwood City economy. So I find that interesting that Elwood City's economy is kind of not doing so great for whatever reason.
That's true. 2004 was an economically prosperous time, so I wonder why Elwood City is having such a rough go. I'm going to get you to go to 33 seconds in this YouTube video here.
Okay, you're going to send this to me?
Yeah. I wish this movie was playing. Hey, to all of our international listeners, Uncut Gems not playing in Halifax. I'm really bummed about it.
It's not playing in Halifax at all?
It's not playing in Halifax at all. It's my most anticipated movie of the year. I'm really distraught.
I was thinking of seeing that. Well, hopefully it comes here. I would like to. I've heard a lot of really good things about it. Okay, 33 seconds, you said?
Yeah, exactly 33 seconds in.
Exactly 33 seconds. So this is the Uncut Gems official trailer HD. Yeah, I kind of see what you're talking about. A little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Mike Francesca, the Pope. It's the stupidest bet I ever heard.
So, essentially, Frank Gehry gives us the lesson of the episode, which I feel like is a lesson we've learned a lot, but we just got to keep learning them. And that's that, you probably could have a really great idea if you all work together instead of, thinking of ideas just on your own. And eventually they come to the idea that they liked the treehouse the way it was, essentially. So they do a little bit of a building montage with the kids helping out as well as the parents, which I thought was kind of nice. There's a weird thing here where it's like, when George was a kid, was like 5 years old or whatever, he, climbed up the ladder to give his dad the bucket of nails. This time he gives him the bucket of nails using Wally, and there's a shot of Wally with the nails in his mouth, and Wally can blink?
Wally keeps coming back. I thought, like, George's whole character arc was he put Wally in the trunk. But, like, Wally keeps making appearances. Like, at first he was just, like, he would take Wally out to get advice from him. And, like, remember, Wally would be all dusty and he'd be, like, coughing up. But now it's just, like, is George just chilling with Wally again?
I guess so. It's just kind of part of it, just a secondary part of his character now. But it's just like, why is Wally blinking? How can he blink? It's not real. There's also a great bit of visual comedy when Bitsy brings out a pizza for everybody who's working. Buster takes out a notepad to start, like, writing down something, and then Brain just puts his hand on his shoulder and just goes, no.
Well, yeah, there's this whole moment that we forgot to talk about earlier on in the episode where when, like, Buster's family had ordered a pizza, and, like, they're about to eat it, and the Buster's like, wait, I need to, what does he say? He goes, I want this drawing to really capture pizza. And then it's like a circle with a bunch of smaller circles.
So yeah, they get the new treehouse built for, it looks pretty much the same as the old one, but that's the way it is. It works just fine for them. And then at the end, Frank Gehry, who in the end just kind of consulted on this one, he didn't do any on the ground work. Says congratulations, and I wanted to give you guys something. And as he makes his leave, they take a look at it, and it's a picture of the Guggenheim in Bilbao, Spain, which is one of the buildings that Frank Gehry was an architect for. And then Brain's like, that was the Frank Gehry?
Yeah, really, again, nothing but king mentality. Brain apparently is familiar with famous architects.
That makes sense, though. That tracks. I was like, okay, if anybody's going to, like, give him a shout-out, it's going to be Brain.
Oh, so. Yeah. For some reason, my brain thought it was Binky for a second. I was like, that's a surprise.
Yeah, and special thanks to Frank Gehry to end the episode. All right, we're going to talk about the second half of this one. I'm really excited to talk about our second half of the Arthur episode right after this. Support for Elwood City Limits is really easy. First of all, you can visit us and follow us on social media. You can go to facebook.com/Elwood City Limits. On Twitter, you can follow us at ECL Podcast. We're also on Tumblr, elwoodcitylimits.tumblr.com. You can also go to our Instagram, Elwood City Limits. Follow us over there, too. You can also contribute to us on a monthly basis over at patreon.com/Elwood City Limits. We have corresponding rewards for when we hit certain levels of patronage. So please, if you feel like you would like to donate financially to us, you're under no obligation to, but if you want to, patreon.com/Elwood City Limits. Also, if you want to have a little bit of ECL on your person, go to teespring.com/stores/Elwood-City-Limits-store. Make a little rhyme out of it. You can go over there and get a t-shirt, a hoodie, or a tank top with the Elwood City Limits logo on it. And we've got even more designs coming in real soon, so make sure to check back there. Finally, share this podcast with a friend who likes animation, who likes Arthur, or who just likes having fun. Sharing us on social media, sharing us with people you know, and sending in your emails to elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com. All are fantastic ways to support us, and we thank you very, very much. Now, let's get back to the show. And we're back with Tipping the Scales. I had no idea what this one was going to be about, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Did you watch this one before breakfast as well? Because if you weren't hungry before, this opening sequence would be brutal.
Tell me about it. I have that exact note. So first of all, I wanted to note here that Principal Haney pronounces the word as garbage. I forget exactly what the sentence was, but he's just like, please throw your garbage into, so like how Mean Gene Okerlund would pronounce Lex Luger as the total package. Just that weird kind of regional pronunciation. Garbage spelled Garbeej. Not to confuse you, Lucas. But yes, they're talking about how they're going to be going to
Crown City. Crown City.
They're going to Crown City. What's the name of the hall? It's supposed to sound like Carnegie Hall, but it's not Carnegie Hall.
Oh no, I didn't write that down
right?
either. It's like Wait, he.
No, it doesn't even start with a C. I think it starts with an A.
Oh, is it like Barnaby Hall or something?
Yeah, it's like Bartleby Hall.
It's Carnegie Hall if it was ran by Bloods instead of Crips, so it's Barnaby Barnaby Ball. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Arthur and the gang, they're just bricking back B and Boole at Barnaby Ball, and don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying?
It's Bartleby Hall that they're going to be performing at in Crown City, and
Bound City when we roll through.
So Binky's telling them about how on every trip to Bartleby Hall, when the kids go to perform as part of a concert, they go to Miss Krasny takes them to Finkelmeyer's Deli. Which, whoa.
Yeah, so Finkelmeyer's Deli, there's so many things about this. So, first of all, the smoked meat sandwich just looks immaculate, looks spectacular. You have to sit on a phone book to be able to bite into it, which don't have to think about that too long because it doesn't really make that much sense, but looks delicious. But then also, I want to just point out, there's like a bowl, there's like a popcorn bowl-sized bowl of pickles. Yeah. Like, I count already, and this is just this is the top of the bowl of pickles. So just think about how many pickles lie beneath this. But
yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pickles up top.
On the surface.
Yeah. 10 pickles. I feel like I would start to feel sick if I love pickles. I don't know about 10. I don't know if 10, and these are big ones too. These ain't dills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if 10 pickles in a row is the move, especially after eating a giant Montreal smoked meat sandwich.
My wife Jenna hates the smell and the taste of vinegar, and that especially goes for pickles. So if I ate that many pickles, I would be sleeping on the couch.
Quarantined. And then there's this massive cheesecake.
Oh, it's like a block of cheesecake. It's like literally a rectangle of cheesecake. It's unbelievable. Don't watch either of these episodes before you've eaten because you'll get hungry.
Biggie said it was so good it almost made repeating the third grade worth it.
But it turns out that Miss Krasny won't be able to take them, and they're going to have to get a substitute music teacher. And who is it but returning guest Dr. Frederick Fugue?
This was like one of those moments where it's like, if this was a sitcom, like the crowd would cheer. I never thought we were going to see Dr. Frederick Fugue again.
Me neither. I was so
he was
happy.
A throwaway character of the week, and I was like, yeah, I almost had that like audience moment of like, woo! The Fugue is back, baby.
By the way, we get it in canon here. He spells Frederick with a Q. So like Frederic. I loved it. It's such a great character flourish for that. So Dr. Fugue.
Dr. Frederick Fugue, another politics getting at this, he's got Boris Johnson's hair.
He does have Boris Johnson's hair. That's so strange.
I think Boris Johnson might be the only living person with IRL Dr. Frederick Fugue hair. Oh my God, I'm looking at a picture right now. It's uncanny.
Yeah, it's weird. Now that you say that, it's definitely the same vibe.
It's like the exact same hair.
Except I'd much rather have Dr. Frederick Fugue as Prime Minister.
I wonder if
England.
Dr. Frederick Fugue, how do you unwind? What do you do for fun? He's like, I'll do quadratic equations and I'll read Greek poetry. It's like
temper.
Yeah. Dr. Frederick Fugue, are you gonna go back on Brexit? I'll rather be dead in a ditch.
Yeah, so Dr. Fugue is back again, and he's a great character from a few seasons ago, and only Binky and Arthur know about how stern Dr. Fugue is. So Binky is already trying to get out of singing.
This is such a great, like, this moment is such a good reintroduction of Fugue's character, because, like, let's say you're not, like, a psycho like us who has watched every single episode of Arthur in chronological order.
Psycho!
And you need kind of a quick getting back up to speed of, like, okay, what's this Frederick Fugue guy all about? We get this great little moment that, like, perfectly explains his character, where Biggie's like, oh, I can't sing, my throat hurts, and Dr. Frederick Fugue's like, well, if you're singing properly from your diaphragm, you should be fine. And also, here's a flavorless lozenge. Yeah. And, like, him tossing Binky, like, not a lemon lozenge, not a straw, like, flavorless, that's, like, Dr. Frederick Fugue in a nutshell.
It is. And if you sing properly, then you shan't strain the vocal cords. Like, So great. I'm so glad he's here. Yeah, so that's kind of Binky's whole thing for this episode as we go along, is that he doesn't want to sing in front of Dr. Fugue, which is so strange because even when we've heard Binky sing, like Bruce Dinsmore, a great singer, and he's a great singer in Binky's voice. Yeah. So we know that he can sing. But there's also kind of, so this whole thing, it's kind of hard to go blow by blow because it's Dr. Fugue. Essentially,
a big part of this episode kind of just feels like a montage of the kids getting way into singing.
Which I liked, though. I liked watching it because I must say the direction that they use to have the kids go from, a bunch of them, like the first time that he gets them to sing, like some of them aren't on cue, like they're coming in late, all this kind of stuff. And then as we go along in the episode, the kids go from like bad to fine to pretty good to like actually sounding good. So the direction that they used for the children singing at different levels of expertise was really well done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to point out here. So, like, obviously, the comparison's like Whiplash, right? Like early on when they're not good. I mean, not as intense, of course, but he is pointing out like who's flat, like who needs to like work on things. And then like later on, he is talking about like tempo. Like, what does he say? This isn't Tchaikovsky's funeral march or something.
Yeah. And, oh man, I would love Whiplash with. Would it be Arthur in the Miles Teller role or Binky?
Probably Binky.
Okay. Were you stalling or were you late? I was stalling. Well, if you know, then why are you doing it?
You're
throws a drumstick at him.
There's also a great little fun like throwaway sequence where it's like the kids kind of hopping along like a musical note path. I liked that sequence, kind of illustrating them kind of getting into the music. But I will say, we were all the positive things we're saying about this montage. And this is just me. This is not an objective. This is just when they're kind of at the lunch cafeteria table and they're singing to each other.
Oh, I liked that.
I'm glad you liked it, Will. It kind of reminded me about when I would find the theater kids being annoying in high school. Now that's me. That's a me problem, okay? That's not the theater kids problem. That's a Lucas. That's something I gotta work on. But it did.
Were the theater kids like running scales or something?
They would just. You know the type of person where like
I do know the type of person.
They're just singing all the time, like all the time.
Just because they can.
Just because they can doesn't mean they
so
should.
Talented.
Exactly. And so it kind of gave me flashbacks to that, to like the genre of high school person, that's like asking for their like pudding in the cafeteria, like they're Russell Crowe and Les Mis, and they're like, "Give me pudding!" And like, "Prisoner 50621, can I have pudding just for one?" Valjean,
your time in the lunch line is up and your parole's begun.
That's pretty good.
You know what that means.
I guess it's pretty good to do like no key Russell Crowe. You know what that means.
I know. I remember seeing that movie for the first time and being like, oh wow, like Russell Crowe's in this movie and I can like sing just as good as him. That must mean I'm a really good singer.
Hell yeah. Well,
no,
if we ever do karaoke, you got to do the Russell Crowe parts from Les Mis. That's so sick.
You know nothing of Javert. I was born inside a jail.
Yeah, trust me, I'm full of it. Yeah, so Binky is doing his best to get out of singing. He does some of the classics here, like, so Dr. Fugue is trying to audition for a solo, and Francine just assumes she'll immediately get it, but she actually needs a little bit of training. She needs some training on breath control in order to eventually become the soloist. But Binky doesn't want to sing in front of Dr. Fugue at all, so he does the classic, like, is fake late. He's like, oh darn, my watch is slow. And does
Binky have a watch?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then when they're all singing
I'm looking
as a group,
now, he definitely doesn't.
When they're all singing as a group, Binky does the fake singing that I used to do in choir when I was little.
Same. When I was in the Christmas concert or whatever when I was little, I did the lip syncing as well, the Milli Vanilli strat.
Yeah, I feel like everybody does that. So everybody is doing their best to try and prepare, and they are slowly getting better. There's a really nice flashback of Dr. Fugue in the children's choir at Crown City, where it's like, the chandeliers go up and it's like stars at night, and just kind of it's exciting but also terrifying at the same time. Just I could listen to him talk forever. It's great.
They do a really good job of, like, especially knowing where this episode goes later on, of kind of making the kids be excited for this for multiple reasons, right? And like, so for instance, like setting up the deli in the opening, I'm like, oh, the kids are just excited to see the deli, but then also like Dr. Fugue really kind of sells them on the experience of performing in this kind of historic theater, and so like you kind of have a motivation for every character to, knowing what ends up happening, be disappointed for a different reason, right? So Buster probably doesn't care too much about the choir either way, but he's disappointed he doesn't get to have his food. And then all the other characters that have kind of been wrapped up in Dr. Fugue's kind of fantasy of performing in front of this crowd are also
in his fugue state.
Oh my goodness!
Way. Please continue.
Oh no, that was it. No problem. I was like screeching to a halt. No, it's fine.
I also really appreciate how layered Dr. Fugue comes across, because in the episode before, he's like, he's a bit one note. It's like he's very strict and he's
really
kooky.
Mean in that episode.
Yeah, he's very strict and he's very kooky. But in this one, he, there's a point where he like stops them and just like, it's important that you have fun while you're singing, or else, and that's when he tells them the story about when he was in the choir. So it's not that he just wants them to be the best. He just wants them to perform well, but them to also have fun with what they're doing. And it really makes him come across as a more fleshed out character and makes me like him even more. So we never really get, like, Binky later confesses to Dr. Fugue that he wasn't singing, and Dr. Fugue, of course, has the oldest trick in the book, so he knew all along. And that's kind of the end of where that Binky subplot goes, and it all runs together into the main plot line, which is they're on their way by bus to Crown City, and then they're stopped by a roadblock, and they're not going to be able to make it to the concert. So they go into a local diner.
Yeah, it's snowing them in, which is funny. Both of these episodes are kind of about like snowstorms in a way.
Yeah.
We have a snowstorm coming this week, and I'm like, man, I wonder if my childhood treehouse is going to fall down in my parents' backyard, or if I'm going to be diverted on my way into work.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go into work too. Great. So Dr. Fugue, everybody's down in the dumps. We also get like a married couple who just so happens was gonna go to the concert in Crown City.
Yeah.
And
so this is our throwaway character of the week, is old guy who doesn't get out much. Because they're all dressed up. Him and his wife are there. And I forget what his wife's name. But he's like just kind of, I forget who he's even talking to exclaiming this, but he's like, looks like we're not going to make it to the show. Shame, we don't get out much.
So, of course, Dr. Fugue looks disappointed at first, as everybody is disappointed, but then he gathers them all together at the end of the diner and says they're going to perform anyway. It doesn't matter if they're in Bartleby Hall or if they're right here. They're not going to let all that training go to waste. So they sing their song together, and it delights everybody, and it's, kind of makes everybody very happy. And they even get some free pie as a result from the diner chef who used to be a top chef in Paris.
Oh, wow.
And 5 stars and all that, the waitress says. And so Buster gets his food. He does get his great food, and Francine comes up to Dr. Fugue near the end of the episode and says, I realize now that I really like to sing, but I have a lot more to learn. And it's kind of like a nice teaching moment for Dr. Fugue. And that's kind of how the episode ends, as they bus back to Elwood City and are singing their song again. Feel good ending. So let's take it back here from the ending back to the beginning of the episode. Lucas, what did you think of
Castles in the Sky?
You got it.
I really liked Castles in the Sky.
Okay.
I thought, like, sure, it's not a very substantive episode. It's one of those kind of Arthur's done this time and time again with an ensemble episode where basically there's like a problem, and then every kid has their own idea to tackle it, and then they all come together and kind of like we had that one with the TV shows. We've had that one with remember when they had to come up with a holiday? Like, we've kind of seen them do this again and again, but I think this formula kind of works for Arthur. The reason is because its characters are so strong. Like, it's a fun, I see why the writers always go back to this, because it's a fun thought exercise to be like, okay, well, what would Francine do? Okay, what would Buster do? You know what I mean? There's a million episodes you could make of just coming up with, okay, there's a problem, how would each kid solve it? And I also kind of thought it was novel, just like, again, I like all the architecture stuff. Like, I like learning about this real life famous guy and his weird binocular building. Like I said, not the most substantive episode in the world, but it felt really short. Like, I feel like it's over in a second anyway. Like, every kid kind of goes off, tries their own thing. There's a couple jokes, and then they all work together, la-di-da. So I think a pretty good episode.
I liked it fine. I didn't love it. I think that it was, like I said, like a slam bang way to get back into Arthur is like, hey, welcome back. The treehouse is gone.
Yeah, it's like, it really is. They're like, this is the 9th season. Like, yeah. Like, if this was,
it feels big.
Tune in this Sunday. What happened to the treehouse on Arthur?
Yeah, it feels important. It feels like earth-shattering. And, of course, they get it back by the end, which is all well and good. A very interesting guest spot from Frank Gehry. I think, again, they're kind of going off the beaten path for some of these guest roles, and I always really appreciate that. Yeah, I think that it was fun to kind of see everybody's idea of what they would want in a treehouse. It just wasn't like there wasn't much of a story to follow. It's like, oh, no, the treehouse is gone. Okay, we built it back up again. And it's like, which is totally fine. Like, it's just not the most substantive episode of Arthur that we've ever watched. All that said, though, it was still pretty fun. And I really enjoyed kind of the ideas that they had and just kind of getting back into Arthur again. This was a fun way to do it. So, pretty good. Not great, but still fun all the same. Tipping the Scales I liked a bit better, and of course by no small stretch of the imagination because of Dr. Fugue. I love Dr. Fugue, and the opportunity to kind of make him more of a lived-in character, to kind of make him less than a one-note kind of antagonist for Arthur to overcome, made it even better. I really liked the idea of the kids kind of going to, like, having to get ready for this concert. Now, it did, like you said, Lucas, kind of lend itself to, like, montages and stuff like that. It kind of didn't have as much of a structure as a normal episode, but it did feel like there was a real progression, and I appreciated when they got to the end, and they like, oh, great, they enjoyed themselves, and everybody, it was, like, just a really positive episode all around. So a really good one to watch if you're in a bad mood. It gave me a very good feeling, and then both of these episodes left me very, very hungry. But yeah, great stuff. I really enjoyed it. I also really liked Tipping the Scales. Very substantive episode. Like, there's a lot of kind of moving parts in it, right? Like, in a way that there isn't in the first one, right? The first one's just kind of your generic ensemble. Like, everybody has an idea. We follow up on that happily ever after. Tipping the Scales kind of, it doesn't really go the way you think it is. At first, I'm not quite, like, I thought it was all about them trying to get to this, like, diner, and then it ends up being about, you know, I thought it was going to be about Francine anxious about not getting the solo, and then I thought it was going to be about Binky kind of not wanting to perform in front of Dr. Fugue, or Dr. Fugue being really mean when he first reappeared, and it's not really about any of those things. It's just kind of this, like, little adventure where the kids don't end up going to the place that they're excited for, but they end up performing all the same and still appreciate the experience regardless. And so I love this type of ending, right, where it's not quite what you want, but the kids have learned a lesson anyway. I think it is a really, as sincere and as straight as they play it, I think it really, really works. Of them getting kind of snowed in, they're in this diner. Yeah, it's a fun episode. I think both of these episodes combined are a nice breath of fresh air after the so-so season 8 we had. Season 9 already off to a good start. Agreed. This was a really great way to get back in the swing of things with Arthur, and happy to be back at it in the new year with Elwood City Limits. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we've got even more. We've got all the rest of season 9 to go, so we've got that to look forward to, and more announcements for the future of the show. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. We're not going anywhere, but we're going to be doing some new things, and some life changes are going to be happening. So I'm really excited to tell you all about that And you know who hears about it first is our patrons. So please consider donating to us. Let me just say, to our patrons, your donation every month means a lot, and it helps keep the lights on over here. Because when times get tough, it can be hard to be like, oh man, I spent how much money on hosting this podcast a month? But then it's like, oh, our patrons got us.
Yeah.
So it's all good. And happy to continue doing it, of course, with you, Lucas. It was weird. I felt like I didn't hear from you for an especially long time. So it was really good to be getting back to shooting the you-know-what with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Will. We're back in it. Just a couple of kings with that 2020 king mentality. Let's go.
Do I dare ask if I make the list of kings?
Listen, Will, you're above the list of kings. You're an emperor, my man. You're the shogun.
What a sweet lie. All right, coming up on the next episode of Elwood City Limits, we're talking about tops. This episode's very top heavy because we're talking about Francine's big top trouble and George blows his top.
Okay. Alrighty.
Like I said, very top heavy. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Thanks a lot for joining us here in the new year, and we'll be back at you before you know it. Keep an eye on that Patreon, and we'll be letting you know about it before too long as well. My name's Will Young, and for Lucas Mancini,
that only leaves one option. We hang out at Muffy's.
Bye for now. We'll see you next time on Elwood City Limits.
Oh, man. Wait, where is it? One last... Oh, gosh, I really should have this at the ready. Heck yeah. Bye, everybody. 2020.
Bye.
Do a little fade out.